Okay. So we start our discussion today with sphingolipids. I hope I did not have, I did it correctly spelled because I want you to look at this uh, picture that I have shared to you and also in our soul. I think we have a wrong spelling there. Nakanap lang nga dapat sphingolipids. Dapat na kay G there yata. Okay, let me just check the spelling there. Okay, so let's just wrap up. We are done with this and this, and we are done with this. I think we have touched on this one last time, but what I want to do today is just to go through with the two subtopics under sphingolipids. Okay, so you have the sphingomyelin and the glycolipids. And then talk on, there are I think five classes of steroids in your ebook. So we also go through that. And then after we go to complex lipids, which is actually just short. And then after that, we look at our cell membrane to understand some structures in the cell membrane. And then after that, I'll give you time. So again, the sphingolipids are those that contain, we call it the amino alcohol. Okay, so there is an amino alcohol molecule, and this amino alcohol molecule is named as sphingosine. We call it amino alcohol because you have an amino group and alcohol group. And I think this is also an alcohol group. And what I want you to remember with you is, to remind yourself of, that there will be one fatty acid that will be connected in the sphingosine. And where would it connect? It would connect through the amino group of the sphingosine, such that the fatty acid will create an amide bond with your sphingosine. Remember that, because in neutral glycerides, you remember the fatty acid makes an ester bond with glycerol. But remember, with sphingolipids, the fatty acid connects with the sphingosine through an amide bond. Okay, remember that, because it's quite different. Ester in fatty acid, but you have an amide bond in sphingolipid. And the O here, this is where the polar group will attach. Remember, usually the lipids are amphipathic, so there is a polar head and a non-polar tail. So for sphingolipid, the polar head will be attached through an ether bond here. Okay, so the R can be anything, which we will look into later on. Okay, please remind yourself that sphingosine plus fatty acid this group is called a ceramide. Okay, so your sphingosine plus a fatty acid together in that molecule is called the ceramide portion. And then of course, you have anything in the R. You could have anything. That is where now your sphingolipids will be split into two, as you have looked in the schematic diagram before this slide. Okay, so where is that? So, I think this is just to show us that sphingolipids are quite the same in terms of being amphipathic with the phosphoglyceride, because again, you have the non-polar tail. Okay, so they have the same. So you have two non-polar tail, and then whether phosphoglycerides or sphingolipids, they also have the same polar head. So this is the polar head, And then they both have two non-polar tails. Okay, moving on. I think this is just the same. We have the non-polar tail because this is the R here. Remember, sphingosine has 20 carbon. So this R is actually quite long. I know this is the fatty acid. Sorry. So this is the fatty acid portion because you have the amide here. Okay, so this is the fatty acid. Okay, again, the fatty acid can be anything. And then, of course, it will give you that second nonpolar tail. Okay, now we have now where the sphingolipid can split. Okay, so we have the sphingomyelin, which is one of the subgroup of sphingolipid, and these two together belongs to one group, and we call them the glycolipids. Okay, why do we call that and the other group that? Okay, so what would give you an idea that this is sphingomyelin and what the moiety in the structure which will give you a hint that this is glycolipid. Okay, let's start with sphingomyelin. Sphingomyelin has a phosphate. So all you have to remind yourself is you have a phosphate and then you have choline. Remember choline, this is also this is a quaternary ammonium salt. Okay, this is also present in lecithin. Okay, so I hope you remember our topic last time. So they are the same in phospholipid. The fact that sphingomyelin also contain a phosphate and it also contains choline rather. Okay, so this is one of the group of sphingolipid, the sphingomyelin. Now, the glycolipids, which is again one subgroup in sphingolipids, what you will remind yourself is to look at that there is a carbohydrate functional group. In ganglioside, it's quite big. We have an oligo. But for cerebroside, okay, so cerebroside and ganglioside are all under the subgroup of sphingolipids, which are called glycolipids. So you have single sugar for cerebroside and oligosaccharide for ganglioside, but both of them are under glycolipids. If you notice, you have the sphingosine, okay, and then the fatty acid is here because you have the, the amide bond. Okay, so this is your fatty acid. Now, this is just an example of where the cerebroside, okay? So, remember in cerebroside, there is only one saccharide. So, you have a monosaccharide attached to the cerebroside. So, if you have a glucose attached to your ceramide, okay, remember, kana ceramide. Asa ito itong ceramide? Yeah, okay. So remember, if you have a ceramide and the R is glucose. Okay, let's go back to that. Okay, so this is your ceramide. And then you have a glucose. So the name is glucocerebroside. Now there are also ceramide which is attached to galactose, so we call it galactocerebroside. Well, that's the thing. You have a monosaccharide in your ceramide. So this is how you differentiate subgroups of sphingolipids. Now let's look at the non-glyceride group, which is the steroids. And I think I have touched with you steroids last time. Let's look at now this is the steroid structure. So remember how they are fused together. So there are 4 fused rings, hexagonal, and another hexagonal, which is above the B, and then you have the pentagonal. Now, Usually in animals, this is a very common steroid, and we call it cholesterol. Cholesterol is a very, how do you call that? Very controversial molecule, and we usually have it in animals. Now, in plants, the equivalent steroid in plant is phytosterol. So usually cholesterol associated with the lipid in the animals, and plants are phytosterol. Although study would show that plants also produce a bit of cholesterol. So a very, very small quantity of cholesterol. But most of them, plants, we're talking about plants, so what they have is the phytosterol. But both cholesterol and phytosterol, I hope you can appreciate the ring system here, which is A, B, C, and D. If you look at the phytosterol, you still also have an A, B, C, and D. So they only vary in the location of the double bond and sometimes on the alkyl group that is attached to the ring. Okay, moving on. Now remember cholesterol, what did I say? Cholesterol is a very controversial molecule. In fact, if you look at the science history, there are 13 people receiving Nobel Prize just for the study of cholesterol. So that's how controversial cholesterol would be. Now, some people will connote cholesterol, which is something undesirable or bad, but we should realize that we cannot live without cholesterol, human per se. Okay, why? Because cholesterol is a very important precursor of other molecules in the body. Okay, so let me just write here cholesterol. Okay. Okay, so cholesterol, a person which is 150 pounds, for example, produce around 100 grams of cholesterol per day, which can even go as high as 35 grams. The point here, the point of my story here is we cannot live without cholesterol, okay? So granting you're a person which is very, very conscious about cholesterol because you might have bad perception of cholesterol, then you might have some kind of notion or option that you don't want to take food which is having cholesterol. Now, if your body intake is zero cholesterol, what the body does? The body will synthesize cholesterol. So cholesterol is synthesized by many parts of our body, but great synthesis of that happens in the liver. So if you don't eat or you don't have, or shall we say, zero intake of cholesterol, like you don't take cholesterol containing food. So what the body will do, it will synthesize cholesterol because we always need cholesterol in the body. Now, if your intake in cholesterol is some kind of whatever amount, okay, so the body will adjust, okay? So whatever you take in, the body will adjust so that the body will not synthesize much. But the bad thing here is if you are going to take in cholesterol-rich food, it does not assure that your body will synthesize less equivalent to what you need. It does not work that way. That's why there is a danger again. See, I told you it's very controversial. If you take in cholesterol, it does not assure that your body will not synthesize cholesterol because you are taking maybe a lot of that. So your body will still synthesize small, maybe just small amount because you have already taken up plenty of cholesterol containing food in your diet, okay? Now, let's go to the usefulness of cholesterol. Cholesterol is a precursor. When you say precursor in chemistry, that means this is the starting molecule. So without this, you cannot make other molecule. Okay, so that's how you say precursor. Okay, so what will our body synthesize from cholesterol. Okay, number one thing. So if we have cholesterol, the body can synthesize fat soluble vitamins. Okay. So vitamin D, for example, this is the kind of vitamin that is produced in our body when sunlight strikes our skin. Okay. And where does our body get that molecule? Our body synthesizes that from cholesterol. Okay. The body can also make hormones out of cholesterol. And then the cholesterol is also having structural function because it forms part of our cell membrane. See, if you don't have cholesterol in the body, how could you live? You need sex hormones, okay? So sex hormones come from cholesterol. So this is just to show you the usefulness of cholesterol. So structural, because cholesterol forms part of our cell membrane, and hormones and fat-soluble vitamins. So this, I have 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these are 5 of the groups of hormones that we can make from cholesterol. So one is mineralocorticoid hormone, aldosterone is an example. Another is the glucocorticoid. Okay, a good example is cortisol. And I think these are the sex hormones here. The testosterone is an example. And you have the androgen, and then you have the estrogen and the estradiol, which are present in women. Okay, so of course, you will have to talk on that in the forum about the function. But I want you to appreciate the presence of the 4 fused ring structure. So whether glucocorticoid hormone or mineralocorticoid or sex hormones, they retain the ring system A, B, C, and D. So this is just how you look at them. See if this lipid is a steroid. So just look at the ring system. Okay, so these are some of the usefulness of cholesterol. Then we will talk later on when would cholesterol become bad or undesirable in our body. But take note, and I want you to appreciate this very controversial molecule. See, if you don't have cholesterol, how could you live? Okay, how could the secondary sex development could happen if you don't have cholesterol? Again, because remind yourself, cholesterol is a precursor of some of these hormones. And this slide here shows you the 5 groups where you can see the hormones. Okay, moving on. Now, if you recall the schematic diagram I have given you, then our discussion could have ended on that, okay? But again, I want my student to be very versatile because that schematic diagram does not show one of the group, which is also very important. So in the slide is another way of presenting or classifying lipids. And I want to pick up this one thing which we are going to discuss. If you go around on the classification, we are very good of that already. In other words, di ba, mga bright na takaayo ani, glycolipids, phospholipids, waxes, triacylglycerol, di ba, mga bright na takayani. Okay? So what we lack based on this classification is eicosanoids. So I want to take up with you eicosanoids. You can also read about this in your book. Okay, so let's expand our understanding on more groups of lipids. So our topic current now is eicosanoids. Now, eicosanoids can be synthesized in 3 molecules. I'm taking up one. This is very important. So we will just leave the rest, the other 2. But anyway, I want you to look at arachidonic acid. Okay, so this is the structure of arachidonic acid, which is written linearly, just to show you that this is cis double bond, another cis double bond, and another cis double bond. Now, these are some of the description of icosanoids. Okay, of course, this is 20:4. Okay, and if we have it the delta, I remember they are all cis. And then if we look at the delta, that means we look at the carbon from the carboxyl functional group, and this will be our carbon 1. And see which, what are the location of the double bond. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5, comma, because there are 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have another at 8, comma, and then 9, 10, 11. So we have another double bond at 11. And then 12, 13, 14. Okay, so that's how you abbreviate arachidonic acid. Now, if we're going to take the omega, okay, arachidonic is considered omega 6. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, remember omega counts the carbon by which the first double bond from the methyl group appears. So since the double bond appears from the methyl end of the 6th carbon, so we say arachidonic acid is an omega 6 fatty acid. Now, you should know arachidonic acid structure. Now, this is another way of writing arachidonic acid, and this is just to prepare ourselves by which the eicosanoids will be written, the structure in the, how do you say that? The structure of the eicosanoids later on that we will see. Okay, so it's kind of folded here because the body will what? Will transform this arachidonic acid into something. Okay, so this is so, I just want to give you a bird's eye view on what will happen. So that if this is arachidonic, let me just write it. If this is our arachidonic acid, 20-4 delta, whatever, okay, all cis. Okay, so there will be a pathway. So we call it a pathway, so, or biochem, that means series of reaction, okay? So let's just describe it as an oxidation reaction. Okay, why oxidation? Because later on some of the hydrogen will have to go. Okay, then there is a molecule that will be produced from the arachidonic acid. Okay, so we call it the PGH2. I write it down here, PGH2. Okay, so this is just a name for this molecule. So what will happen? This PGH2 will in turn a precursor to a group of lipids which are, let me just write here. Okay, so what are they? So there will be 3. So from PGH2, our body will make prostaglandin. Okay, another one is prostacyclin. Okay, where's my pen? Prostacyclin and thromboxane. Okay. Okay, so I just want you to understand the pathway. So if we have arachidonic acid, our body will have to transform that into something. So there will be a pathway, a series of reaction. And the first molecule that from arachidonic, from this pathway, our body will produce PGH2. This is a prostaglandin. Now, when you have PGH2, the body can synthesize differently eicosanoids. So these are now the eicosanoids. So prostaglandin is one eicosanoid, prostacyclin is another eicosanoid, thromboxane is another eicosanoid. So these three arrows here represents the prostaglandin, prostacyclin, and thromboxane. So how do they differ from each other? We will look at the structure later on. Now, from arachidonic acid, okay, so that means if I draw this arrow, that means the arachidonic acid will undergo a reaction, but different from this kind of reaction. Kumbaga, it's another pathway. And then what happened? Our body will produce leukotriene. Okay, so leukotriene is another eicosanoid. So this is how you look at the transformation of the molecules from arachidonic acid. Remember, arachidonic acid is a fatty acid. And from fatty acid, arachidonic, our body will produce another group of lipid which are called eicosanoids. Okay, let's go now to this molecule, these eicosanoids. Now, I want you to look at the cyclic. Remember, there is a folding presentation of the arachidonic. So I want you to look at this portion of the molecule, okay? I want you to just take notice of this enzyme, okay? So this is an enzyme. The enzyme cyclooxygenase is able to cyclicize. That means you will form a ring structure later on from this arachidonic acid. So what are these cyclization? Okay, I want you to appreciate the five-membered ring. Okay, so let's differentiate the structure first. Okay, so you have this ring structure na five-membered ring. This is also a five-membered ring. Okay, but you have a different constituents on the ring. Okay, just first appreciate the structure. And then there is a cyclization, but you have a six-membered ring. Okay, and then there is a transformation in the molecule, but then there is no cyclization. Okay? Now, those five-membered ring are what we call prostaglandin. Prostaglandin. And then the six are thromboxanes. And then those that do not, okay, they do not form, that's what we call leukotriene. Okay. I think we don't have prostacyclin here. We don't have. But anyway, these are anyway the most important. So just pick out the prosta and thromboxane and then the leukotriene. So I hope you can differentiate now because all of these molecules are C20. The point is our body is making a cyclic reaction, cyclooxygenase. Okay, and you will form prostaglandin, prostacyclin, and thromboxane. And those that do not form cyclization, so that's what we call leukotriene. Okay, so I hope you can see now that this one is cyclooxygenase. Okay, so this is very important. Now, relation to medicine, you know that medicine which aspirin is an inhibitor of cyclooxygenase. So there are people that are asthmatic. These are people that the doctor should watch out. They are not given aspirin because This is the chemistry, okay? So if you are asthmatic and you have fever, the doctor will not give you. That's why when we are in the hospital and we have some kind of of physical problem, usually the doctor will ask, are you asthmatic? Are you, whatever? Because this is the chemistry of asthmatic, I mean, the medication for asthmatic people. So if you are asthmatic, for example, and you have a fever, and if the doctor will know that you are asthmatic, the doctor will not give you aspirin for your fever. Okay, you know why? Because if remember, the aspirin is an inhibitor of cyclooxygenase. So what happened? If you have arachidonic acid in our body and the doctor will give you, for example, aspirin, okay? So what will happen? The cyclooxygenase action cannot proceed or will be slowed down. So what happened? Most of your arachidonic acid will not undergo this pathway. So it will not produce PGH2, the prostaglandin H2. Now, if you don't have prostaglandin H2, so you cannot also or inhibit or slow down the production of this cyclic eicosanoid. So what happened? Most of your arachidonic acid in the body will become leukotriene. And you know what? If you have plenty of leukotriene, this is associated with the trigger of asthma. So that's the chemistry. See the importance of understanding chemistry? You can understand your body, okay? And doctors are using the chemistry using the biochemistry knowledge to treat patients. So that's why I really want you to understand the structure, because if you can understand the structure, you can understand happening around you. Okay, so that's the very beautiful chemistry of people with asthma, which the doctor will not give aspirin if you have fever. So I hope you can see the chemistry on that. Okay, moving on. These are just some of the eicosanoids that are present in our body. And these are, remember I told you there are three precursor for eicosanoids. So this one comes from different things. This is coming from the plant, and I want you to take notice of this, Kai. This is the active agent in your marijuana, okay? So this also is coming from one of the fatty acid in the biological system. But this is just to show you, that's why we call it the phyto. Phyto is coming from the plant. Endo is, we just produce it in our body, okay? So endocannabinoid and phytocannabinoid, okay? So let's move on. Moving on. Okay, asa na ta? So I hope we are done with already on steroids, diri na ta sa complex lipids, okay? So we are done with all of the chemistry of this. Now, this one is, again, not so much on the chemistry, but let's just look at the structure in terms of biological aggregation. No? Kanang magtapok na sila. Okay, so the term here is complex lipids. Now, again, it would depend on what book you are reading, because some books will say phosphoglycerides are complex lipids. Okay, so in the context of this discussion, when we say complex lipids, these are now the aggregation and the combination of lipids and other biomolecules like protein and carbohydrates. But in this topic, moingon gani ko lipoprotein. So that means under complex lipids, we're only taking up one group of that, and this is our lipoprotein. So our discussion will center on lipoprotein. So what is that? The combination of lipid and protein. Okay. So when we say lipoprotein, these are actually particles. So we're not looking at the chemical structure, the carbon bonds, oxygen bonds anymore. No more. Okay, so we're looking at it as a particle because again, there is an aggregation, a combination of lipid and protein. Okay, so I have a drawing here which looks like a virus, but anyway, this is a spherical thing, not actually perfect spherical, but I just want you to imagine a ball, okay? Imagine a ball. And then the presentation here is that we have a hole, so gitangtang ang one side, one wall of the ball, so that we can see and peep through what is inside the sphere. So this one are the surface of the sphere, and on this triangular-like shape is we are looking and peeping into the inside of the sphere. So the surface is made up of unsa man ni tanawahan na siya polar head and duha ka non-polar tail. So I hope you can associate that with your phosphoglycerides. Okay, remember the phosphoglycerides na kay duha ka fatty acid and a polar head. Pwede po na siya og katong mga sphingolipids where you have the sphingosine, moiety, and then you have one fatty acid, moiety, and then you have the polar head. So all the polar head are projecting outward. Okay, so that's the boundary or the surface of the particle. Now, what do you have within the surface? Okay, in addition to the phosphoglycerides, which has two non-polar tail and one polar head, you have cholesterol. Okay, remember the cholesterol, katong steroid fused ring. Okay, now the pink ones are the, okay, so we have a term here, apolipoprotein. Okay, remember our enzyme, when you say apo enzyme, that means this is the protein portion of the enzyme. So when you say apolipoprotein, this is the protein portion of the whole particle, which is lipoprotein. Because remember, lipoprotein is a particle. So the protein portion of that is called apolipoprotein. Now, inside, okay, mo ni ang nakanindot aning inside. What are the inside? Okay? Mura pa ni siyang alkansiya plangga. Kini isa mo sulod mo ni sulod sa inyong alkansiya. So what are inside? Okay, the amazing triglycerides. Unsa man to katubang mga fats. Remember the glycerol, unya tulo ka fatty acid, o mo na siya sulod. Okay? And unsa cholesterol ester. Okay. So I want to draw the steroid of your cholesterol. Okay, remember na kay ring ana. Okay. Okay, this portion in the cholesterol is OH. Now, when we say cholesterol ester, naakay fatty acid ana. Okay, naakay chicken. And then you form an ester. So, remember ang OH, ano ko nag-carboxylic acid mo form silag ester. So, mauna ni ang fatty acid. So, the cholesterol is attached to a fatty acid. Mauna gitawag og cholesterol ester. Mauna siya sulod. So, that's the content of the lipoprotein particle. So, ang iyang mga unod, triglycerides and ester of cholesterol. Now, there are classes, lipoprotein are grouped into classes. Again, it would depend on what book you are reading because some groups will just give, some books will give you 5, some books will give you 4. So I'm picking up 5, okay? Para o makakita kag 4, nara sa imong mind ang ika-5th, okay? So first, ganahan ko sa akong mga students sa biochem nga kabalud jud ani. So one is chylomicron, then very low density lipoprotein or the VLDL. Nya kanang I meaning intermediate, nya mora gyapon density lipoprotein, and then LDL means low density lipoprotein, and HDL your high density lipoprotein. So pila man na tanan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so some books will give you 4 because some books do not list IDL. So kanang books nga 4 ilang ihatag is chylomicron, VLDL, LDL, and HDL. But again, the essence and the concept here are the same. Okay, moving on. So this is one way of differentiating the different groups or different lipoprotein. One, we can differentiate them in terms of sizes. Okay, so just memorize the grouping. Anya, you go down. So gikan ka sa chylomicron, na pagamay ka. So the chylomicron is the biggest, and then next is VLDL, which is very low density, then intermediate, then low and high. So that's one. Okay, remember the size. Okay, unsa man ni mga 800 nanometer, kunya atong HDL kay 5 nanometer. Okay, nanometer is 10 to the negative 9 meter. Okay na.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ayap, dear.
Ma'am, 11 na ma'am. Mutik na may anong page.
Oh no, wait sa. Okay. Sige, paumanas ako ha. I can give an extension anyway to the activity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ra?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Sige lang ka. Kay parang
Yes,
wala na
thank
tayong
you,
time to kuan. Okay, so just be patient with me. Let me just finish this one. Okay, another way of differentiating this lipoprotein, which is very important, and this is what is really very thing to look into, is the composition. Okay, the composition. Okay, so what makes one different from the other is the composition. Now, what I want you to pick up here is to compare the percent of protein and the percent of triglycerides and cholesterol. Okay, so chylomicron is the least dense. Okay, the way they are classified into groups actually depend on density. Okay, remember density is mass over volume. Volume. So if your density is very low, that means dako imong volume, gamay imong mass. That's why chylomicron, di ba, dako siya kaayo. Na as you go here, the density increases. So VLDL is denser than this. This one is in turn denser than that, and so on and so forth. So the most dense is the high density lipoprotein. Now, this slide is to give you an understanding. Why should HDL very high density compared to the other? Okay, the answer of that is composition. The higher the protein, okay, the higher the protein, okay, tangan ako ning arrow, that means the higher the protein, the higher is the density. Okay, so let's look at HDL. Tanawa yung HDL. Yung protein, very taas. And then if you go to the left, magkagamay yung protein. So pag magkagamay yung protein, magkagamay yung density. Because protein, because of the nitrogen and some sulfur, their tendency is they are denser. Now the triglycerides or the lipid portion is opposite. No? The lower the density, the greater is the lipid counterpart. Okay. Now I want you to, okay, naanata na, no? So the lower the density, the greater the portion. Now I want you to look at LDL and HDL in terms of cholesterol. No, ang LDL is very high on cholesterol, but HDL is very low on cholesterol. Okay, now, because we are going to associate it with a term we usually hear around us in our family from the doctor, the good and the bad cholesterol. So the good cholesterol is associated with HDL. So the meaning sa HDL, the very high density siya because it has high protein but very low cholesterol. Now, the LDL is associated or called as bad cholesterol. For one, the composition, you have low protein, but you have very high cholesterol. And not only that, they are associated that way because of their biological function. Now, this is our artery. The function of the good cholesterol is to pick up cholesterol in the bloodstream, in the body, and then put the cholesterol back to the liver. Remember, the liver is the one who synthesizes cholesterol. So that's why they are associated with a good cholesterol, because this is kind of good kid. If you are going to make a parallel story of your blood vessels to be your house, so this is the good kid, because whenever it sees cholesterol in the house or in the blood vessel, the HDL will pick it up and then put the cholesterol to the liver, sort of like picking the mess and putting it in the trash can. So that's the function, biological function of LDL. What about the, HDL, the HDL. Now, what about the LDL? The function of the LDL is opposite of the HDL. While the HDL pick up cholesterol in the, anything in the body, in the bloodstream, and put it in the liver, the bad cholesterol, the LDL, is the opposite. So the LDL will distribute cholesterol parts of the body. Sort of like this is the bad kid in the house, because it will get some trash from the liver, okay? The cholesterol is the trash, and then put it anywhere in our house, okay? So what happened? When the LDL is so high, okay, it will form a plaque in the walls of our blood vessels. And this is associated with a disease called atherosclerosis. Okay, so the very high LDL is associated with atherosclerosis. Of course, again, you know very well, high blood pressure ka, and then ultimately mag-apoptosis ang mga cells surrounding the blood vessels, kaya because you don't have an oxygen supply anymore because of the plaque. Okay? Then ultimately, ma-close na ni, and then death could occur. Okay, so that's the chemistry of LDL and HDL. So, if you will become medical technologist before you become a doctor, so this is these are one of your analyses that you are going to perform in the laboratory of the hospital. So you have to analyze the triglycerides, and usually you calculate the ratio of LDL with HDL. And this is what the chemistry, I hope you learn the chemistry of these two in terms of density, size, and protein composition. And of course, relating to the function, and we can explain why they are called bad or the other one cholesterol. So that just to inform ourselves for better nutrition, these are some food associated with the bad cholesterol, and these are the food that we are going to avoid. Because remember, chylomicron or the LDL has plenty of triglycerides, mga mantikaon, no? So these are the French fries, the burger, and ambot nga nung naabot ng ice cream din. But anyway, good cholesterol is associated high if you eat vegetable, fruits, and nuts, and vegetable oil. Okay. Now, this is, I'm picking it up because, again, I want my students to be very versatile in terms of classification of lipids. So this is another way of, another source whereby they classify lipids. But I want you to understand this one because we understood already the structure. Okay, so see how they are group each other. Okay. So we have the steroids here. Okay, if you go into deeper chemistry, you have the terpenes. We are not taking up that within our course, but we have the vitamins, because remember, vitamin D, for example, come from cholesterol. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, now I want you to understand. We have a main heading here, phospholipids, because in this classification, this book is taking phospholipids, anything with a phosphate. Remember the phosphate, PO4 3-, and see how the sphingomyelin is included in here, because remember the sphingomyelin, we have the sphingosine, we have the fatty acid, and you have the phosphate. That's why in some other books, sphingomyelin is also classed as phospholipid, the fact that it contains phosphate. Okay, But glycolipids are group each other because these are lipids with carbohydrates. Okay? So that you can understand, moingon niya akala, anong man ang sphingomyelin na apil sa mga phosphatidyl, choline, phosphatidyl, ethanol, amine, as phosphatidyl, serine. Okay? So I want you to be very versatile. It could happen like that because again, this book is making a heading phospholipid, which are any molecule with a phosphate. Munang naapil ang sphingomyelin. Okay? And then you have a heading of glycerophospholipid here because plasmogen, phosphatidate, and all the choline and the lecithin contains the glycerol. And see, you have the eicosanoids here, the one that we take up a while ago. And then triglycerides are grouped separately because remember, they are neutral. Wala man sila charge. And then this is grouped together with waxes. Kaya kinipod siya neutral. Stuff like that, okay? So let's go now to the last topic and the membrane, okay? We are very good at this already because we took this up in chapter 1. So we call it lipid bilayer. Lipid bilayer, kay duha siya ka-layer. And I hope this tail now, which are 2, is already very understandable to you. You know the chemistry. And this one is polar because, you know, choline, phosphatidyl choline, for example, or lecithin, or sphingomyelin, and phosphate, contain charges. So they are outward water. Okay. Now, so these are the possibility of amphipathic. They can form lipid bilayer. This is the micelle like our soap or detergent. And the important here is the liposome, or which is equivalent to our vesicles, because this is how our cell membrane is made up of. Okay, so this one is towards the aqueous environment of the inner membrane, cytoplasm, for example. And then this is the outer, which is also an aqueous environment. So all the polar heads are projecting. And then you have the hydrophobic interaction, the van der Waals. Okay, remember why is it bent? Because of the cis double bond. Okay, now I just want to give you 3 essence of the lipid bilayer. Okay, so the composition, ang atong ma-learn ani is the composition is bias. Unsa man na? Remember na kay one layer and another layer. Okay, so the component of the outer layer, and if this is our inner layer, is actually not similar. That's why we call it the composition is biased. So these are just some, you just go over this slide when you look at it. When you look at this recording again, so tanawa, ang phosphatidyl ethanol amine is plenty in the inner but jutay siya sa outer. There are also a lipid like phosphatidyl choline nga mas dagan siya sa outer, nya jutay pod siya sa inner. Okay, so that is the essence of this table. Dili siya equal in component. Okay, so ang inner different of composition sa outer. Another one is in this slide, again, ang atong lesson nga ma-learn ani, different parts of the cell or different organelles have different composition of lipid in their cell membrane. So makita na nimo, tanaw na nimo ang mga bar, and then this represents our mga lipids. So again, nucleus has plenty of phosphatidylcholine. Unya, smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum has different percentage of phosphatidylcholine, and different cells of the body has also its own different composition. So that's what we call the biased composition. Okay, another one is the presence of transmembrane protein. So there are 3 kinds of protein. Before to that, okay, tanaw na nako. I just want you to understand this lipid bilayer. So mo ni imong mga phospholipid. Okay, so the yellow one makakita ka nga, ala, na aday cholesterol. I told you, remember, cholesterol has structural function. Okay? And then, naakay mga protein which also has glycolipid. So, na naka-attach. And remember, the glycolipid usually is in the outer. Okay? Okay, for recognition man siya. Okay? So, there are also glycolipid, press ani. Okay? Ano, protein, yeah, oligosaccharide. Okay, so they are attached with onto your protein. I think this is oligo, no, this is a protein. Oh yeah, this is a protein. Okay, so the thing is you have protein and usually is in the outer. What I want is, asa naman to? I'm supposed to have, no. Wala, integral. I think I don't have the slide. So there are 3 proteins. The proteins in the cell membrane are grouped into 3. So na integral kini. Okay, there. Okay, integral protein are protein that really encompasses for the whole of the lipid bilayers. Tanaw ni mo ang yung location. Okay? Naagod siya within the whole of the lipid bilayer. Muna gitawag siya integral protein. Kining green, for example, okay, we call it the peripheral protein. So it might be within the interior or within the outer, okay, but it only encompasses half, not throughout. So I hope you can see in the drawing that ang difference between the integral kay encompass the whole lipid bilayer. Kini siya, it's either on this side or kana on that side. Okay? So naa kay integral, peripheral. Okay, naa ko'y anchor protein nga wala siya diri naka-attach sa imong lipid. More siya galutaw, no? Anchor, we call it an anchor protein. Wala, I'm sorry, I didn't have the picture. Just look at your ebook because I think naa may drawing sa inyong ebook about anchor protein, peripheral, and integral. Okay. So I want you, the next one we have to learn is, remember this is lipid bilayer. Okay, so this is a phospholipid. So we are now looking at the movement of this, okay? Because this one particular phospholipid can move alongside within the one side of the lipid bilayer. Pwede po siya ka-transfer dito sa ilalom, okay? So there are 2 movement. We call it lateral, okay? Lateral and transverse, okay? So lateral within the same side of the bilayer, and then transverse is opposite on the other layer. So we have, this is just a picture of a thing that is done in the laboratory. Okay, so this is a technology in the lab where they put a stain sa imong cell membrane, okay? And then this drawing is just to show you if they mark, okay, so at the start you don't have a mark. So this is your plain cell membrane. And then they put a laser, so they subject it into a laser. So there will be a black mark in your cell membrane. And then they give it a time. They will notice in the laboratory that the black, that means the stain, is trying to disperse. And finally, tanawa at the end, nawala. Okay, nawala siya. But if you look at this color here, this is more darker than the other one. So that means the black thing has dispersed. And in fact, it is known in science, okay, through instrumentation, that in fact the stain, which is black, stain man siya, is actually dispersing, is moving lateral and transversal. Kinaabot po siya dito sa ilalom. Okay? Now, so there are 3 enzymes that I want you to bear in your mind: the flipase, floppase, and scramblase. Okay? So kanang flipase, outer, out, from out to inner. Unya ang floppase bali kay inside to outside. So if this is the outside of the cell, nya inside of the cell, tanawa gikan sa outside to ana siya sa inside. Munay flippase enzyme. Floppase is gikan sa inside paingon sa outside, and scramblase is both. So pwede siyang maka-turn from in to out and out to in. Okay? This is a thing you just read. This is just a repetition of the non-polar interaction. Okay, so makita na to ang cholesterol plangga. Remember the cholesterol. I want somebody to post the structural function of cholesterol. But this is the hydrophobic interaction, and you have the polar head for hydrophilic interaction. Okay, just an assignment. I want you to read membrane transport section. Unya, plangga, maura ni akong ganahan ni mong i-learn ha. Please be able to differentiate passive transport and active transport. And then just pick out one example. Enough na ako. Okay na, so that is my blah, blah, blah. Any question, my dear? Hello, mga anak, please speak up so I will know if you are.
And ma'am.
Ma'am, is the quiz sequential?
Dili ko sure ha, Mark, sequential dagway to. Ani lang plangga, just really give it time to read. Actually, tuluran na ka-question. I'm just trying to give you a practice of looking at the structure. Unya, makabalo ka kung glycerophospholipid ba ni siya, cholesterol ba. Ana-ana lang. Practice lang tanaw structure.